That's Donald Trump's favorite movie.
It is?
Yeah, Sunset Boulevard. I know. Isn't that funny? He is kind of normaing right now, though, with the Iran war. I think he's ready for his close-up, Mr. DeVille. Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Brandy Zadrozny.
Brandy, guest host of my dreams. I'm sorry to start with a quiz, but I think you're up to it, okay?
Okay.
Here's the quiz. A recent analysis by a government watchdog called Open the Books found that Pete Hegseth's Department of Defense has been treating the American Treasury like its own personal party fund, spending $93 billion by September of 2025. Which frivolity was not one of the charges that Hegseth and company racked up? Was it A, a $7.4 million haul worth of lobster tails? B, $124,000 for ice cream machines. C, $98,329 on a Steinway grand piano. Or D, $139,224 on donuts. Which one was not one of their frivolities?
I know the lobster's real and I know the piano's real, but I don't know if it's ice cream or donuts. And I know that Pete Hegseth doesn't want like fatties in the military. So like either donuts, I'm going with donuts.
Okay, it was a trick question. They all were things. No, Pete Hegseth's no fatties policy does not extend to the Department of Defense itself, apparently, because they got $124,000 for ice cream machines, plural.
Sweet.
Alyssa is out this week, so we are lucky to have MS Now's Brandy Zadrozny guest hosting. We break down the newly available FBI interviews with a woman who accused Trump of sexual assault that the DOJ tried to bury, a bizarre attempt at image rehab for Peggy Siegal, a.k.a. the Grande Dame of the Epstein Files, yikes, and the Iranian women's soccer team's quest for asylum. We also discuss and review Candace Owens' latest series, The Bride of Charlie. And, of course, we wrap up with Sani-Petty. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast for people who wonder which Trump administration official is currently placing bets on Kulshi based on insider info about which administration official is next to get shit-canned. Brandy, if you were betting, who would you bet on in a prediction market?
What cabinet member?
Yeah, what's the next official that's going to get shit-canned?
I sort of have always had my eye on Brandy just because she's always at like the buck always stops with her from whatever. HHS was like, you better go, Brandy better go after these, medical journals. And she's sort of the end game for every single one, but she fails so miserably so often because, the prosecution is baseless for the most part. So I'm going to go with Brandy.
Okay. That's a good prediction. You know what? I think it's probably going to be Brandy. I think it should be Patel. I think it should be Patel, but it probably will be Brandy. That's
maybe it'll be RFK.
That would be what a lovely surprise that would be. What would you have to do in his do you like pour out some food dyes in his honor? Like how would you acknowledge the loss of our dear brother in Maha?
We'd all wear jeans and jump into plunge pools and take myelethine blue or whatever that blue stuff is that he drops into his drink. Yeah, walk barefoot on airplanes. Just weird shit. Just be weird. Just be weird.
He's also I wonder if he's still on that diet that's just like fermented foods and red meat.
Yes, he is.
Can you imagine the horror of being his dentist? Like
or sleeping beside him in bed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not that I want to even, but like the smell, it can't be good.
Yeah, he's got to smell like a uncleaned produce drawer from a fridge. When you open the fridge and you're like, oh, something's got to go. And there's
so
like
sour.
Yeah, there's like liquefied green onions at the bottom of your produce drawer that you bought like 2 months ago and you never used. I feel like that's how he smells. Okay. Also, we have an update before we get into the news. Representative Tony Gonzales, the alleged philanderer, father of 6 kids who allegedly had an affair that he denies that are backed with text messages that he also denies. Anyway, he dropped out of the race. We've been talking about him a lot. Tony Gonzales is no longer running for re-election for Congress in Texas. Unfortunately, the person that is probably going to win the Republican nomination and thus the seat is crazy. Would you say?
I wouldn't say.
Okay.
I feel like this whole thing, we should probably set it up because I'm going to have to be the straight man as a reporter for MS Now. So I'm gonna have to be less funny than you.
Oh,
which
that's fine.
Easy around you. Yeah.
Oh, Brandy, stop. So the person that's running is running even further to the right than Gonzales. I think that's a fair thing to say. And
right.
and that candidate will likely win. So yeah. So there's it's really, life is like a box of chocolates, Sometimes you never know what you're going to get. I want to talk about something. I'm so glad you're here, Brandy, because I really want to get into the continuing kind of drip of what's coming out on the Epstein Files and the information environment that we're in right now that is kind of dangerous in a way that I think you and I would agree that it's never really been dangerous before. Like right now we're dealing with an American public who I think is at a peak of illiteracy when it comes to media illiteracy and inability to parse the truth. And at the same time, we have a media environment where there are fewer qualified gatekeepers than ever before. And not that gatekeepers are a universal good thing, but a lack of gatekeepers means that there is a real opening for people that would exploit a general ignorance or lack of media literacy in just engaging them on falsehoods, engaging them on inflated stories, engaging them on propaganda. So anyway, Epstein Files is like the perfect storm for mis and disinformation, for engagement farming, and for people just spinning off into their own information universes. And this is a really good example of a time when this is an especially big problem. Okay, a few weeks ago, we covered the revelation that the DOJ had withheld FBI interviews from a woman who accused Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was 13. Her first interview was included in the January release of the files. And on Thursday, the Justice Department released her 3 follow-up interviews from 2019 when the FBI was investigating Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking crimes. Though the reports do not indicate whether the FBI verified her claims, a Justice Department source told the Miami Herald that agents found her to be credible and that they would not have interviewed her 4 times if they thought she was lying. That's a quote. The source also said that she ultimately declined to cooperate with the investigation and the FBI lost touch with her. So from the first interview, just to catch everybody up, the woman originally connected with Epstein in the early 80s in Hilton Head, South Carolina as a young teenager. This is what she told the FBI after he responded to an ad for her babysitting services, and then over the course of several years, she alleged that Epstein gave her drugs and sexually abused her, and Trump was not mentioned in this one. The second interview, she recalls Epstein taking her to either New York or New Jersey sometime between the ages of 13 and 15 and introducing her to Donald Trump. She said that Trump immediately didn't like her because she was a tomboy, and then when he was left alone with her, he said, and this is about to get a little bit rough, guys, so if you're sensitive, take a quick break. He said, let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be, and then unzipped his pants. Then when he forced her head toward his penis, she bit it, and then he hit her. Now, from the third interview, she claimed Trump's reaction to biting his penis, saying he pulled her hair and punched her on the side of the head. She also claimed that her mother spent time in federal prison after embezzling money from her employer in order to cover paying blackmailers who were dangling sexually explicit photos of her that Epstein had taken of her to be used as blackmail. So it's a very confusing story. She also shared that she and her mother had received threats from people she believed to be associated with Epstein and Trump. Okay, and from the final interview, she expressed discouragement that anything would happen, that the statute of limitations had probably ended and what could even be done at this point. Now, the White House has dismissed all of the woman's accusations in an email to the Herald saying, as we have said countless times, President Trump has been totally exonerated by the release of the Epstein Files, and that the zero credible evidence from a sadly disturbed woman who has an extensive criminal history. The Herald found no extensive criminal history, only dismissed charges for theft. Okay. This is a complicated story, Brandy. Can you kind of lay out what you think this means and what you think that this doesn't mean?
Yes. So again, as reporters, we're in the verification business. We hear a lot of stories. So take this story, and where my mind immediately goes is like, well, what can we verify? And I think the local news paper, the Post Courier, is that what it was?
Yeah.
They did a good job sort of laying out. They tried to verify all of the bits of her story. And what they verified were basically like the moments in her life that she had talked about in these FBI interviews, and those were verified, right? She did have a mother that did real estate on the coast. There was an employee of an Ohio university that lived in or rented or bought one of these properties. She had, had her mother had embezzled some money and used it for we don't know, but I have yet to see a single detail where she is accusing Epstein or Trump, like that culpability thing, anything about like the situation she describes with Trump himself. I don't see any verification of that yet. That doesn't mean it won't come. That doesn't mean something won't be discovered. But at the moment, we have a story. And I think that it's really important to like put that into context and understand that it is a story. Now, we also have some other things that complicate it, right? We also have the Department of Justice seemingly making this story unavailable, seemingly maybe purposefully. It seems like it would be expedient to Trump, who promised the Epstein Files and then worked his butt off trying to not release the Epstein Files. Like that, it kind of adds up to weird. Weird does not mean culpable. And I think the danger in some of this stuff is to go from story to see this shows that Trump is just like Epstein, or Trump also assaulted Epstein's victims, or Trump is a pedophile, or these are all things that I've heard. And the problem with that is that then it becomes something that is so big and such a wild claim without verification or without corroboration necessarily, that then it allows Donald Trump and his supporters to say exactly what they're saying, which is, see, can't believe anything in these files. It's a witch hunt. It is a moral panic I've heard a lot of. And Trump said, it's just like Russia, Russia, Russia. And it was like, hold up. Russia, Russia, Russia was real, right? There were some very real and important things that happened in that investigation, just like there are here. So it's just, it takes a lot of very slow, thoughtful parsing. And I think you said it exactly right. Like people don't read. People don't read. They don't read. They look at the internet, and it's just a real problem. And so the whole Epstein Files and this story in particular make me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, same. I think that it's really tough to see people that I respect, who I think are very caring people, and I don't think they mean any harm, kind of taking bits and pieces of the stories that are found in the Epstein Files and running with them as though they are verified and 100% true. Do you know what I'm saying? There's been some other disinformation kind of interspersed throughout the Epstein Files, or stories that have kind of gone viral that kind of lack any backing. Can you talk a little bit more about a couple of those? I know that there was like a Sasha Riley thing. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, again, like I am in the verification business. So like if I hear a story like Sasha Riley's, I really will withhold my my opinions, or I don't know until I look into it, right? So like that's a news story that's come out that a lot of people have been like telling me to look at, which I will consider looking at. The story that I sort of think about is in 2016, we were working together at the Daily Beast.
We were.
I believe.
What a
time.
strange time. I miss you though.
I miss you so much. She sat right behind me, and you were the fastest writer, and you were so funny, and it was such a joy to be around you.
It was like
It's
me,
true.
you, Ben Collins, Gideon Resnick,
Yes.
Taylor Lorenz was there for a little bit. It was
Oh my
Spencer
God.
Ackerman was there. What a team. What a time. It is so crazy. I mean, I know we're like talking about a tangent right now, but like this has been a period of time in political writing, opinionating, column writing, reporting that has taken down the minds of so many people. So many people have lost their minds because the information environment we're in is insane.
But not us, baby. Because I do feel like the Daily Beast sort of molded us we were like this sort of misfit group of people who were like punching above our weight and like finding all these weird stories that no one else wanted to tell. And then, and I remember even thinking, and this is such a diversion, but thinking, after 2016, well, what will we do now? Like if the world returns to normal and the Trump campaign is no longer the Trump campaign, what will we pivot to? And then I think that's the reason that most of us are in, just bigger media jobs now, and because the world needs an explanation. But back to 2016, at the Daily Beast, there was this story that came out during the Trump campaign, and it was the story of Katie Johnson. And it was this lawsuit that was filed by this woman named Katie Johnson. It was a pseudonym. And I got an email at the time from this guy, this LeBeau was his last name, and he emailed me and said, have I got a story to sell? And he was basically shopping this video of this woman, Katie Johnson. It was pixelated, and she was telling this story of, she was a runaway. She ended up in Trump Tower. She ended up in an Epstein party, and she had this interaction with Donald Trump where he raped her. I believe he punched her in the face. It was kind of had like similarities to the story in South Carolina. But that lawsuit, I spent weeks and weeks trying to talk to Katie, trying to like verify any of these details. And it turned out that the guy shopping her tape was a former Jerry Springer producer. And the guy funding all of this was this guy, Steve, an Ohio never Trumper, GOP businessman who was trying to get the story out so that Trump wouldn't win. And so when you put all of those pieces together, we were all trying to verify the story. And in the end, she dropped out. And her attorney, Lisa Bloom, said that she was dropping the lawsuit because she felt afraid. And that might be true. She said she was being threatened. That might be true. But I had never seen evidence for that. And I think what it rests on the idea, the very real idea that people, even Epstein victims, which Julie Brown, documented so well, these girls from bad financial and family situations, these young girls were sort of plucked out because nobody would care about them. Nobody would believe them. And so there's just a lot of like truths mixed with messiness. And the Katie Johnson story was really messy, but you go into any anti-Trump rally and you will see people holding up believe Katie Johnson signs, like Trump raped a girl when she was 13, alluding to the Katie Johnson story. So I just think as reporters, it's important to take all of these claims very seriously because there are real women behind them, and so I think it's important to pay attention. But yeah, we just have to be really discerning, I think, and it's hard.
Hysteria is brought to you by Quince. These days, I'm all about quality over quantity, especially in my closet, which is very small. If it's not well made and versatile, it's just not worth it to me. That's honestly why I love Quince. The fabrics feel elevated, the cuts are thoughtful, and the pricing actually makes sense. Quince makes high-quality wardrobe staples using premium fabrics like 100% European linen, 100% silk, and organic cotton poplin. Lightweight cotton cashmere sweaters are perfect for the changing seasons, and you can't miss the seasonal colors and prints for spring. Versatile, well-made pieces that make getting dressed simple is what Quince is all about. Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen. You're not paying for brand markup or fancy retail stores, just quality clothing. Quince uses 100% European linen. Their cotton poplin is crisp and holds its shape. The gauze is soft without being flimsy. Everything Quince makes is built to hold up season after season. The stitching, the fit, the fabrics. These are pieces you'll reach for over and over. Quince clothing is consistently rated 4.5 to 5 stars by thousands of customers. Real people wearing these pieces every day and actually loving them. That Quince cotton cashmere sweater has become my go-to. It's light enough for layering, but still feels luxe, and it didn't cost what I thought quality cashmere would. Stop waiting to build a wardrobe you actually want. You don't need a closet full of options. You need pieces that work. Right now, go to quince.com/hysteriapod for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's a full year to wear it and love it, and you will. Now available in Canada, too. Don't keep settling for clothes that don't last. Go to quince.com/hysteriapod for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/hysteriapod. Hysteria is brought to you by Article. Article makes it effortless to create a stylish, long-lasting home at an unbeatable price. Article offers a curated range of mid-century modern, coastal, and Scandi-inspired pieces that not only shine on their own, but also pair seamlessly with nearly any other Article product. This thoughtful design approach makes it incredibly easy to mix and match, helping you create space that feels cohesive and stylish. They take great care in curating their collection, focusing solely on high-quality, meaningful pieces that will stand the test of time. There's no filler. Every item is chosen for its craftsmanship, design, and lasting value. You can immediately tell the difference in quality when you receive an Article piece. I've talked about Article all the time. I've got several pieces from Article. My dining room chair set is Article. My outdoor couch is Article. My dining room table is Article. And every single time I've gotten Article furniture, the delivery process has been so painless. They come exactly when they're supposed to come. They help you unpack it. They help you assemble it if you want help with assembly. And then they go and you have your beautiful furniture and you don't have to like worry about cleaning up or following directions where a stick figure is making gestures you don't understand. With Article's 30-day satisfaction guarantee, you can shop with confidence, knowing that if you're not completely in love with your new furniture, you can easily return it. This peace of mind ensures you can invest in your home without hesitation. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/hysteria, and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/hysteria for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Yeah, it's hard. Also, I think that these files, these Epstein files, are missing context. There's not like any explanation. There's not any careful explanation that's like, this is from, something that everyone has to read before they read this, which is like, this is from a series of FBI interviews conducted with a woman over the course of several years. FBI interviews are not verified. They're just things that people are saying. Like that, I think, is something that maybe people should know, because I agree, like taking these things seriously is very important, but sometimes taking it seriously means holding it in the uncomfortable place in our mind where it's like, it might be true, it might not be true. I don't know if it's true because I don't have evidence that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think you have a really good idea. I think that a team of librarians should go through, maybe the librarians at like Internet Archive should go through the Epstein files and add context and organize all of them. Would be really great.
Oh my gosh, that would be so good. Because honestly, I am a seasoned like researcher and obsessive. Like I always make sure, like this fucking guy, the series that we do, I'm obsessive about it. And I'm like always down rabbit holes on Internet Archive and the Wayback Machine and stuff. And I do that as part of my job. And even me, I get like fatigue from reading these emails and stuff. And sometimes I find myself in this weird like Epstein psychosis place where I'll open up an email that's like kind of innocuous. And I'll be like, what does this mean? And then I'll like save it. And then I'll go back to it and be like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, what is the context? What happened to him that day? Where was he? Who is he around? Like, I don't know any of these things. And it's like lacking. I can't place meaning on it because I don't have what I need to give it meaning. But it's really tempting to like imbue meaning on things when we already know that the guy Epstein, I'm saying, is like a sex pest. And we already know that Donald Trump has been accused of sexual misconduct with dozens of women. He has a reputation that spans decades. It's easy to just like put meaning on these things when we don't really know for sure what actually happened. Brandy, a trend in these stories, women are unwilling to cooperate out of fears, like the Katie Johnson story, for their safety. How does this impact the information that we have available?
Yeah, I think it makes it really hard to know without verification. And by the way, I do think it's interesting that the same lawyer for Katie Johnson is also the lawyer for the woman in South Carolina, Lisa Bloom, who said that threats were causing her to pull back. There's no next part there. I just think it's interesting that it's the same lawyer and it's the same decision for not going forward. But I think it is real that sexual assault victims and victims of sexual abuse are often vulnerable. It is real that powerful people like Jeffrey Epstein have used charm and power and fear to persuade his victims not to go forward. He famously had girls in Palm Beach followed around by private investigators, their MySpace pages scrubbed to embarrass them and to get them in trouble. Would it make sense for someone like Epstein and people in Epstein's orbit to threaten these women? Yes. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that it happened? I can't say that. It makes it really hard. We just don't know. There's so much we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would follow a pattern of behavior because didn't Epstein or somebody close to Epstein was suspected of threatening Graydon Carter and Vicky Ward when Vicky Ward was writing about the Farmer Sisters for Vanity Fair back in the early 2000s.
Jeffrey Epstein came into Tina Brown's office when she was the CEO or the executive editor, whatever she was, of Newsweek and the Daily Beast. He came into her office, sat down, and when she, said, what are you doing here? He just said, stop, and then walked away. Like, Tina Brown is one of the most powerful women on earth. And so, like, if he is capable of doing this to someone like Tina Brown, trying to intimidate Tina Brown, like, yeah, I believe that it could happen. It doesn't mean that it did.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I blacked out for a second because I was imagining going up against Tina Brown for any reason.
Oh my God.
Like,
terror.
I would, if she had gotten to a line 10 seconds after me, I'd be like, please, ma'am, go ahead. You were here first.
As you should. Yes. Tina Brown.
Are there any other omitted threads from the Epstein Files that you're following, Brandy, or anything that you're chasing down?
I am obsessed with Steve Bannon's inclusion in the Epstein Files.
Okay. Say more.
Well, okay. So I went through the Epstein Files. I read all of the emails between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein between 2018 and 2019. What is clear is that they were friends. Like, this wasn't. Steve Bannon has said, oh, I was just making a documentary about him. No way. I mean, they were friends. And Steve Bannon was friendly with him. He would ask him for trips on his plane. I don't think he ever went to the island, but like, they planned trips to the island and Zorro Ranch, and they did all these things. And so the only 2 hours of the tapes of him interviewing Jeffrey Epstein, which were like, he said up to 50 hours of tapes exist somewhere. So I think that in the interest of truth, Steve Bannon, who sat up at a TPUSA conference over the summer and said, the files must be released, I agree. And I cannot wait for all of these 50 hours of tapes to come forth. I think if he cares about transparency and truth, all of those will be released. I want them so much.
Oh my gosh. You know, I think something I've learned about Steve Bannon, because I used to be acquainted with him just because I think he knew everybody. Like, there was a period of time where, like, any reporter could text him or call him and he would be like, what's up? Like, he was pretty – he loved feeling like a big shot, and he loved talking to people who made him feel like a big shot. And sometimes just the fact that you were, like, a reporter or a writer was sufficient for him to feel like a big shot. But, you know, in those emails, some of the emails between Bannon and Epstein, it did feel like two guys, like, really trying to impress each other. Like, two guys that really, like, thought the world of each other. And, like, you know, Bannon had this one thing that Epstein didn't necessarily have, and Epstein had this other thing that Bannon didn't necessarily have. And they both really liked to, like dick measuring contest type vibes, but like in a friendly way.
Peacocking. Yeah, they're really trying to impress each other.
Yeah, they really were. And it's just kind of like, you know, there's a lot of talk these days about the male loneliness epidemic, but Jeffrey Epstein was pretty good at making friends. If he can do it, if he can do it, if he can do it, you can too. All right. On that note, I just want to give a shout out to this piece that was in New York Magazine this week, because it was, I don't know, Brandy, if you share this love of like ill-advised publicity rehab attempts. There is a piece in New York Magazine, a long-form profile of now infamous New York City publicist Peggy Siegal. The Grande Dame of the Epstein Files is accompanied by a bizarre glamour shot of the 79-year-old barefoot in a red gown by the pool. Credit where it's due. She does look great. She's 79 and she looks great. But she doesn't sound great. The article chronicles Siegal's intense relationship with Epstein, which has been documented for years and has now come to light after 5,000 emails plus between the two have been made public. In the profile, Peggy is kind of twisting and turning. She claims they were never that affectionate or even friends, despite the frequent email sign-off of XOXO Peg, and even joking about her desire to be his baby mama. And it closes with a paragraph that I just really want to read, because I think that she's just trying to like PR rehab her image when there's really no coming back from like sending Jeffrey Epstein an email that contains a hard R N-word. You know, that's kind of the tic-tac-toe of things you're not supposed to do as a publicist. And a really good object lesson in why, if you are someone who deals with the public at all, you should treat all your communications as though they might end up in a newspaper someday.
She was famous for her emails.
She was famous for her emails, but her emails. The article closes with this paragraph. Toward the end of one conversation, Siegal remembered herself. One last thing, she said, I have said nothing about the girls. At the end of the day, I felt so victimized myself that I've neglected to say that the real victims were the girls. Some days later in a text, she implied that the victims had an advantage she had not. It's possible if I had a killer lawyer, as some of the victims have, I would not be so vulnerable.
She needed a publicist. She needed someone so bad. This was such a delicious profile, though. Like they did, I haven't read something like this in quite a while, and I thought it was so just sort of yummy in the details, and this picture of a bygone era. I imagined it like I haven't actually seen this movie, but it reminded me of what I think Sunset Boulevard is about. Just this like aged woman of a certain type trying to remain relevant, or maybe one last gasp at relevancy.
That's Donald Trump's favorite movie.
It is?
Yeah, Sunset Boulevard. I know. Isn't that funny?
I'm going to watch it today.
He is kind of normaing right now, though, with the Iran war. I think he's ready for his close-up, Mr. DeVille.
I kind of get it, but I kind of don't.
You have to watch it, Brandy.
I'm going to do it today.
It's a classic. It's like it's like Dr. Strangelove. It's like one of those movies you watch it and you're like, oh my God, it seems like it could be made today, and it would be an amazing movie if it were made today. You have to watch Sunset Boulevard. But that was an apt comparison. Comparison. But it did seem kind of like a bygone era where people like it's funny reading her emails to Epstein. She's so like she's very clever. She's got like kind of a wicked sense of humor that does veer to a point where I'm like, Peggy, why are you like, don't use that word, because she does
often. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's really like delighted by herself. Like there's a type of old New York like writer or like gal about town who's just like very delighted by herself, but she is kind of delightful. Like I would say like an E. Jean Carroll is like delightful and also delighted.
Yeah, I think that's right. No, I mean, I liked her at the end of this profile. Like I liked the woman, which is crazy when you see like what, again, gallivanting with Jeffrey Epstein, and then like just the way that she talks. But there is something charming about the way that she is as a character, not as a person. I wouldn't want to know her. But I enjoy reading about her. I think that's really interesting. I like what, it was also very sad. Like she's at the end of her life. She's 79, I think.
Yeah.
And she just had a health scare. She's been in hospital, leukemia or something. And so she's now sort of reflecting on her life. And I thought Graydon Carter had a great quote in it. He said something like, she gave up so much for so little in return and gained so little, I think was the thing he said. And it's true. Like she sort of like just gave everything to these people over BlackBerry email. And, she's told these stories of going to a party and then coming home and, typing furiously on her BlackBerries. And that was like she had no family. She had no children. She really had no friends. She said, I don't even know what a friend is when referring to Jeffrey Epstein. So like, I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but it's a sad profile.
Well, I'm sure that somebody's already bought the rights, because that would also make a really good star vehicle for a actress who is looking for a challenging and complicated portrayal of a woman in her 70s. I think that would be just throwing that idea out there for free. If there's any agents who happen to be listening. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more Hysteria. And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast that was tempted to watch the Kai Trump Secret Service Erewhon vlog. Did you watch it, Brandy?
I did.
What did you think? Did it make you want to go to Erewhon, or did it make you want to draft Kai Trump to war?
I love Erewhon. I don't ever get to go because I'm in New York and we don't have those here. But when I go to LA, I do sometimes go and put it on the company dime. I hope no one's watching this. But I do like it. And, I actually watched another one of Kai's videos after that. I went down a little rabbit hole, and she was like making Valentine's Day cookies with her mom. And it was very sweet, but she kept saying Valentine's.
Oh, no.
Which I was like, no one corrected her. I don't know. I wonder about her team. But they're fun. They're fine.
I never go to Erewhon because, like, why would I do that? Although I've heard there's one in Venice that if you go there during lunch, it's like the place to see or be seen by like wellness influencers, like Venice West Side wellness influencers. So it is just like a hive of bullshit, but super interesting. Like if you ever want to overhear some like fun conversations, I heard that secondhand, cannot personally vouch. But I remember like when I was here staying temporarily for like a writer's room or something, I wandered into an Erewhon that was like in kind of Hollywood area near the Grove and being like, what is this grocery store? And then seeing how expensive the strawberries were. And I was like, this is ridiculous. What is this?
It's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's also sort of like going to a museum. People there are the exhibits because these are people that don't know how much things should cost.
I went there for the first time after I went on a hike with RFK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
in, gosh, I don't even remember. Was it 2023? And it was just like a bizarre day all around. But,
yeah. Where did you go
it.
on the hike with him?
Mandeville Canyon? Is that something that makes sense?
I'm surprised he didn't take you to the abandoned Murphy Ranch. Do you know where the Murphy Ranch is? It's
No.
like it's like a Nazi ranch that's like near it's like not far from Brentwood. And you can hike down to it's like abandoned and you can hike down to it and there's like it's covered in graffiti now. And I don't know if they closed the trail because there was like a mudslide or something. But yeah, that to me feels RFK coded. Like he would think it was cool to take you to a super weird place and then maybe like eat an eel or something.
Well, to be fair, he took me on the same hike that he took a lot of reporters. It was just a hike that he goes on every single day. So I think he was like, yeah, come on. He also, I believe, took Olivia Nuzzi there. He also took another lady reporter that I know there.
I used to be friends with this bartender who worked at this place in my neighborhood. And she said there was this guy who was like a frequent flyer hinge date guy. And he was always at the bar at a specific time on specific nights of the week and always with a different hinge date. And I wonder if people who work like for Parks and Rec see RFK Jr. on the trail with another blonde reporter and they're like, there he goes again. He's back.
Maybe.
So let's transition into talking about the war in Iran. This is a logical thing to Erdogan, war in Iran. Everything goes on apace here in the U.S. except for gas prices, but we'll see. Okay, so last week, the Iranian women's soccer team became a target of state media after the team refused to sing their national anthem before their first match at an Asian Cup tournament in Australia. The refusal to sing was interpreted as an act of treason by some hardliners in Iran, and activists warned that the women of the team could face dire consequences if they returned home. So after the team lost in their final match of the tournament on Sunday and returned to their hotel, at least 5 players left to seek asylum with the Australian Federal Police. Trump took the opportunity to pipe in, calling on the Prime Minister of Australia in a Truth Social post to take in the team, ending the post with, "The U.S. will take them if you won't." Pause. They've been granted humanitarian visas in Australia, so this story has like a happy current place. It's probably not the ending, but right now they're at an okay place. And the Immigration Minister of Australia has said they've been moved to a safe location and that other team members are also welcome to stay. So it seems like those women are safe, which is good. Brandy, I just wanted to ask you, if you were a member of the Iranian women's soccer team and Donald Trump was like, come to the U.S., everything will be great for you, what would go through your mind?
I mean, any port in a storm, I guess. Like, it seems, would I trust someone like Donald Trump? Probably not. Known care for the people seeking asylum. Definitely not. But I do think any port. That's why it's like sometimes it's like, okay, well, you got to hand it to him, like, or give it to him. If this is like the thing that he wants to like wave around, then yes, that's a great job. Although I will say, I think the Australian Prime Minister was already in talk. He already said he was in talks about giving them asylum. So I don't know how much of an effect Donald Trump had.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump just saw an opportunity to get like a win, like an easy, fuzzy win. And he was like, I want to be a part of this. He didn't need to be a part of it at all. He just piped in and like he jumped into the picture at the last minute and was like, and me. But he didn't really do anything. My first thought was like, you know what? We in the U.S. right now, we are famously and becoming internationally known for sending masked, untrained gangs of men into cities to randomly detain brown people with seemingly no reason. And I don't know that like an Iranian women would be immune from being collaterally taken in, even if they were just going about their business. Like there are places in the U.S. that are just simply not safe for someone who is appears as though a dumb guy might think you might be an immigrant. Like there's just no. I wouldn't advise anybody from any other country to come here on asylum, even if Donald Trump himself were like, yeah, you can come here. You're totally going to be safe. It's like, yeah, can you control ICE? No, I don't think you can control really anything. Like it doesn't seem like a really good plan. So I'm really glad they're safe in Australia. And I'm kind of annoyed that Trump even put it out there like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have we, as in the United States, has sent back Iranians specifically, seemingly to very grave, dangerous situations. And we've put them on a plane and said, good luck to you. So like, again, I would not trust him if I were they. But I don't know. Any port in a storm? Like, it's like,
yeah, I mean, good job.
It's not good.
No,
it's not
good. Good job, Australia. There's such a strange disconnect right now, Brandy. I've noticed, like, I feel like you and I cannot escape. Well, we cannot escape the news because it's our job to pay attention and take in information and then communicate that information to people. And sometimes, like, I was at like a child's birthday party this weekend, and one of the parents there was like, wow, it must be really tough for you. You can't really take a break. And I'm like, yeah, I know I can't really take a break. So I feel like people like you and me, anyone working in media right now has like these conflicting things going on. Like on one hand, this sense of like existential doom and dread and fear. And then on the other hand, you just go through life and there are people just carrying on as though nothing is going on. This is like a personal question, but like, how do you navigate that? Like feeling what you feel and knowing what you know, and then being out in the world and seeing somebody like just caught up in some like kind of, I don't know, like uncaring bullshit.
I think that like we've been doing this a very long time. And I think that some of the people that we mentioned as with us at the Daily Beast are no longer with us in this media environment, right? Like we've lost some good ones to this job. And I sort of think like, more than ever the last couple of years, I've actually had to be like, whoa, like I need to compartmentalize in a way that's like healthy for me as an information consumer and one who disseminates that same information. So like I personally have hobbies. I run a lot and I, knit and I, sign off at a really early hour, and I spend a lot of time with my kids and sort of like refuse to give in to the depth of despair that I think this moment so easily calls for. I think that, I forget who said, but like the idea of like hope is really sort of revolutionary. And the idea that like, I can report on these things but I refuse to like let them sap all of my joy and all of my hope is like really, really important. And I don't really see people out in the world who are sort of distanced from it. What I see is people who are too much in it and have lost that themselves, or sort of like spiraling down this rabbit hole. And so, I'm always suggesting take a pause from, reading or TV or whatever it is. And then I don't know, just be really mindful of like what you're consuming instead of, 4 hours of a YouTuber talking about things they're pulling out in the Epstein Files. Read an article or something and then go about your day. And that's advice that I take.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice. It's kind of hard. The other day, my husband was like, you should just take a day off. Like, just don't read the news at all. Just take a day off. And I was like, yeah, but then the next day I have to take in 2 days worth of news. Like, I have to read what I missed the day before, and then I have to also read what came out that day. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange, not to get too like solipsistic, but it's like very strange place mentally, emotionally to be as like an American member of the media. It's just, I don't know. My brain feels like it's kind of broken a little bit at this point.
No, 100%. And I mean, I think like this is a roundabout way of explaining it, but like I have this on my blue sky, like my pinned tweet is me sitting near Kristen Welker, and RFK Jr. had just been announced that he was going to be the HHS secretary. And so she, I'm running to get in front of this camera, and then she's like, you've interviewed him. What do you think? And the freeze frame is just like, because it's like, this is awful. This is going to kill people. This is going to hurt people. This is going to break public health. Like I feel like there's only so much in this way. Like you can only hold on so long in this like way that's very stressful. And so I keep it up there as a joke, but like I have had to kind of be like, you have to chill and say the same information without letting it like infect your brain.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that. I started laughing because first of all, that's funny. But second of all, on my company Slack, my user picture is me like going like this. And it was like the freeze frame of the Riverside that we did on the night of the 2024 election, because I had to stay and do the like late night, the show for the next morning. And yeah, I'm just going like like this or something, I just look very sad and haggard and tired. And that's my user picture. I'm making a funny face, guys.
My Slack user picture, for what it's worth, is my head on a desk, just like completely defeated. So I'm there with you.
Oh man, Slack is really a journey through our own sadness, isn't it? Okay, so speaking of RFK Jr., this is like a public health story that I feel like we should talk about, even though it's probably not on the front page. In November, the FDA lifted the black box warning from hormone replacement therapy products for menopause, which they'd previously warned those drugs could potentially accelerate pre-existing breast cancers, but that was based on, Brandy, as you probably know, a bullshit study. The patch is one of the most popular and easy ways to receive hormone therapy, and now doctors and manufacturers are reporting that supply for transdermal estrogen patches is struggling to keep up with demand. The FDA has not announced an official shortage of the patch, and there are also alternative ways to take estrogen like gels, sprays, and pills. Brandy, according to our coverage from The Hill, we're in a menopause gold rush. That is a crazy phrase.
I don't like that.
No, I don't like it either. You know what I don't like? I don't like menopause gold rush, and I don't like the phrase scooplet, like a little scoop.
Ew,
I know, it's
no.
gross. Menopause gold rush, which means corporations are realizing they can cash in on the needs of women at this stage in their lives. Brandy, what are the pros and cons of this? Is it exploitative, or is the market finally catching up with people's needs?
Oh, why not both, right? It's like, yes, women's health has been typically and historically uninteresting, it seems, to people who could provide a health care and alternatives for women seeking solutions to our health problems. And so, I'm like sort of reaching near that age where I'm pretty excited about exploring my options when it comes to menopause. But like, I do think it's important to like step back and remember that the person who is guiding all of this, like taking away the black box warning, is like a man who seemingly oversees public health according to his whims. Like he loves hormone therapy, which you can tell by looking at his body. And so this 70-something-year-old man, he says that he takes hormone replacement therapy. And so like this is now an important thing to him. At the same time, this is a guy that, talked about taking SSRIs away from women and claims that there are a host of all these problems. And at the press conference announcing the taking away of the black box warning, they attributed like one of the big issues there was that menopause causes divorce. So like the idea being like, we really want to treat these ladies so they can like not make their men leave them. It's just like,
oh my God.
It's
menopause
really
causes divorce. Aren't like 80% of divorces filed by women? Like, I feel like menopause causes divorce because menopause sometimes gives women the clarity to be like, wait a minute, what is this doing for me?
Or as a person who loves my husband, but like when the kids are gone, you're like, well, do we really want to do this anymore? I think not.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, menopause causing divorce is a really silly idea.
Menopause causing divorce is crazy. Or, I mean, then like my super dark interpretation of that is that hormone replacement therapy is something that that also is supposed to help with sexual function in women. So it allows women to be to feel more sexual and to experience more sexual pleasure and arousal for longer in some cases. So there's a part of me that's like, oh, this keeps wives having sex longer, which is also, I mean, whatever. If you want to do that, that's great. But that shouldn't be like man-pleasing should not be the reason that HRT is widely available to women.
Yeah, it depends on the lens that you look through it, right? And the lens of the head of HHS is a serial cheater on his wife and one that is a serial womanizer. And I just don't trust Robert F. Kennedy. And I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy for anyone to. And I say that not as an opinion, but as a reporter who has reported on this man's lunacy for 10 years.
Yeah, he is pretty nuts. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, finally, we're going to talk about Candace Owens. I know you guys have all been waiting.
On my show, Runaway Country, we go where the headlines hit home, from communities under threat.
I think a lot of people have seen the video so many times, but it's still very surreal to see that's where he was killed.
To the people fighting to be heard.
It's hard to wear all the hats that you kind of need to as an immigration judge. And as a human, it's devastating.
This idea of like journalists shouldn't have biases. Of course we should have a bias. We should have a bias towards democracy. We should have a bias towards freedom.
What is it like to be trying to do what you're doing when the president himself has put a target on your back?
Frankly, when I was a CIA officer, I used to study other countries that would do these kinds of things.
The entire U.S. Congress was basically held accountable by you guys.
I just got chills.
You do want accountability for everybody, and the more that comes out, the more pernicious it all is.
New episodes of Runaway Country drop every Thursday. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or watch on YouTube.
Hysteria is brought to you by Nutrafol. Real change doesn't come from some big flashy moment. It comes from the routines you commit to. It's the small things you do every day that quietly add up over time. That's the idea behind Nutrafol. It's built around a simple, consistent approach to hair health that works from within and delivers visible results over time, not overnight. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested to measure improvements in hair growth, quality, and strength. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages like postpartum and menopause, and lifestyle factors such as plant-based diet, so you get what's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20% and get added perks like a free Headspace membership to support your hair health journey. Let your hair become one less thing taking up space in your head and see thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code Hysteria10. That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code Hysteria10. Hysteria is brought to you by Willie's Remedy. Are you tired of waking up hungover and worrying about what happened last night? Now you can have fun and relax without any of the regrets with Willie's THC-infused social tonic. For anyone trying to be more intentional this year, Willie's gives you that social uplifting buzz without breaking your goals. Willie's is a premium THC-infused social tonic crafted by the legendary Willie Nelson, inspired by Willie's way of living, where peace flows freely and hangovers are a thing of the past. It is a low-calorie, low-sugar alcohol alternative that actually works, delivering a fast-acting, euphoric social buzz without the regrets that come with alcohol. Willie's social tonics come in 5 milligram and 10 milligram doses with best-in-class flavor experience, so smooth and balanced that you barely realize you're drinking a THC product at all. You can enjoy the tonics as a shot, sipped over ice, or mixed in your favorite mocktail. My favorite new thing to do is there is a specific type of like cherry flavored soda. It's not like a sugary cherry flavored soda. It's just lightly sweet. Mixing that with a little Willie's Remedy, putting some ice in there, so good. And it does give you this really nice, gentle social buzz that doesn't feel out of control. Willie's is not that feared edible you ate too much of in college. Each bottle of Willie's is third-party lab tested for accurate dosage, so you can trust and customize your experience. Willie's unique blend of THC, CBD, CBG, and L-theanine delivers a feeling of calm, clarity, euphoria, and relaxation. One shot of Willie's helps you relax, unwind, and de-stress. Perfect for taking the edge off at the end of a long day or socializing with friends. Willie's offers the kind of feeling that makes good company even better. Willie's sold out 3 times in the first 6 months with over 50,000 plus happy customers, and they just restocked. Willie's ships directly to your doorstep in 40 plus states. Order now at drinkwillies.com and use code Hysteria for 20% off your first order plus free shipping on orders over $95. And enjoy life in the high country. And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast for Aleister Crowley's Moonchild and Aleister Crowley's Moonchild only. And if you're not the Moonchild, keep scrolling. Of course, Brandy, I'm referring to the British occultist and shitty mountain climber Aleister Crowley, who believed that souls fought for bodies before they were born, and thus astrological timing and sex magic could usher into the world a superior being known as the Moonchild. Of course, we all know this. So if you're confused about the reference, you probably haven't been listening to Candace Owens recently, because she's really gone off the deep end. She's really talking about a lot of things. It is like a piñata full of spiders. Okay, so after 2 weeks, 8 episodes, and over 16 million views, the internet's collective nightmare / dream, if you're me, Bride of Charlie has, I think it's reached its conclusion, unless Candace decides to make more episodes, which she might. Candace Owens' one-woman crusade against Erica Kirk has spanned over 8 hours and accuses Charlie Kirk's widow of lifelong lies about her life and sinister motives in her husband's death and beyond. She deep dives into what she claims are inconsistencies in her statements about her childhood and dating life. She digs into schools Erica attended and alleged that she was a psychological experiment tied to MKUltra. She questions Erica's motives as CEO of TPUSA. In one episode, she spends the entire hour accusing Erica of being involved in a Romanian trafficking ring based on what sounds like circumstantial evidence, which is like she was in Romania. This other guy was also in Romania.
Shocking.
Yeah, and Romania was a place that in 1989 executed its leaders, Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu, who are like a niche interest of mine. But she came to their defense. She like came to the defense of the brutal dictator of Romania. Anyway, in the end, it's hard to make heads or tails with what objective the expose was trying to reach, other than to sow chaos, fulfill a personal vendetta, and get in a few anti-Semitic jabs while she's in the neighborhood. The series has been, unsurprisingly, panned by conservatives, notably by former employer Ben Shapiro, who called her satanic. Oh my God, live your life in such a way that Ben Shapiro calls you satanic, you know? But maybe not in that exact way that Candace Owens is personally living her life. It's also important to know that Erica Kirk has never been charged with any criminal conduct. She's not publicly commented on the series, and as of now, her response to Candace Owens' campaign has been to just stop, but Candace didn't listen. Brandy, I want to know your thoughts on this, because you and I, we message about this from time to time. Did you hear what she said today? Did you hear what she said today? Like, what are your takeaways from the Bride of Charlie series?
It's nuts. It's nuts. It's so crazy. It's like I never know where she's going next. It's really like, I think her most recent episode, she's like, and I got this in the mail, and I'm like, is it going to be a head? Is it like, what is coming? And it was like a Freemason's Bible, and then she, looks at it and she says that shows that Charlie was killed in the middle of a pentagram, and I was just like, okay,
yeah.
She's such a wild one, and I'm trying to figure out, like, I think she's important. I think we have to listen to her, unfortunately. And I think she's important because, like you said at the beginning, like between 2 and 5 million people watch her every time she puts out a video. And the things she says aren't, just about Erica, right? Like they're usually like, she went to a Jewish school, or like a Jewish person went there with Eric. Everything's about the Jews. Like she talks about them incessantly. She cannot stop. It's really like, I mean, Charlie Kirk called it, I think, a brain virus, like anti-Semitism, and she has caught it bad. Like and like, we know what happens from raging anti-Semitism. And when you spread that stuff, it's that like people get hurt. I look at Erica Kirk is a millionaire. She's a rich head of TPUSA. Like, I think that like you have to work really hard to make people feel bad for this woman. And like, she has managed to do it. She has made her a real victim. I feel bad for Erica Kirk. I feel she's a little weird, and I get that, but like I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her children. I feel bad for Charlie Kirk. I feel it feels awful. I hate what Candace Owens is doing, and I hate the power that she's amassed. But like watching her, I first interviewed her in 2018, so like watching her rise and then seeing where she's at now sort of makes narrative sense to me.
Why does it make narrative sense to you?
Just because like she sort of made a name for herself being a former, right? Like, I'm a former lib, and I'm here to and I'm now joining the GOP, and I'm going to be your spokesperson, literally, like TPUSA spokesperson. And like her whole shtick was like, I used to be a lib, and here's why that's dumb, and here's what all the libs think. And now she's doing that same thing with MAGA. She's like, I used to be MAGA. I used to be part of this. But everything that's weird about this, I can tell you. I can show you the secrets of, this Trump universe, this MAGA universe that now I'm saying is bad and wrong, but I know the inside information, and I can tell you as an insider. And like, it's been really, she is an insider. Like, it's not fake, right? Like, she was a member of that community. So, but it's just like, the world loves a former, and the world loves a whistleblower. Narratively, it's a really, really strong trope that I think has served her very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I found it interesting that she's like totally turned on President Trump now. She's like, you know, he's betrayed us. Like she thinks that this war, because I mean, it's the Israel of it all. She's just like, he's betrayed us. He lied to us. All of this. Something that I found a little disappointing about the series, because look, I am maybe more broken-brained than you, Brandy, because I love it when the girls are fighting, and both of the girls are people that, I mean, when I say the girls, I mean anybody. It could be Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder if they were fighting.
Let them fight.
Yeah, those are the girls are fighting, you know? I like that Candace Owens is making, I mean, it's going to sound like so MAGA of me, but I like that she's making people mad that I hate. I like that she is upsetting people on the right. I like that she doesn't seem to be afraid or intimidated by that. I mean, I'm just speaking in the broadest strokes. And I think like if the series had just been like one single episode about like Erica Kirk coming across as fake and having a sort of opportunistic way that she moves through the world, and if she put it together in a way that was funny, I think that this could have been condensed into like 90 minutes. And I think that she would have had some good points about like, I don't really care about the like discrepancies about her birthday. Like, I don't care about that. But the like, you know, the proof that she maybe fibbed a little about her dating history in order to make herself seem like more of a pure like evangelical, that I think is something that's got a little meat on the bone. You know, like that's something that's interesting. Seems like she's a bit of a hypocrite. It seems like she's kind of shapeshifted to fit into whatever she needed to get closer to fame. That would have been a compelling 90-minute episode. But I think getting into this, like Aleister Crowley, MK Ultra, Charlie Kirk was a genius, sent to a special school for like gifted children.
X-Men.
Yeah, seriously, he was an X-Man. Like all of this stuff, like, and Israel is involved, and the Jews, and like she went into this one like tangent about how like there's a race of people who like snuck into the Jewish race, and those are the ones that are the bad ones, and they became gypsies and they steal children, and like it was just like, and that has something to do with Romania, and Romania is bad because it was just like there were certain parts where like I had to listen to a couple episodes more than once so I could be like, what is she talking about? Like I would lose track of like what she was saying, and it's not because I can't follow a meandering story. It's because it's like, wait, why are you making this a big deal? Like I don't understand. Like, and sometimes she tried to make hay out of something that just like wasn't really there. There was a bunch of things. She probably needed an editor who could have been like, you know what, we don't need this. But overall, like what ended up happening is, you know, now we have this like 8-part series about the head of Turning Point USA, who clearly was trying to be anointed or like elevated to a higher position in the Republican Party, in the GOP, and possibly represented some like a continuation strategy for like when Trump is gone. And I think that like Owens really kind of stuck her thumb in the eye of that attempt. Now, I don't know what her end game is, and I don't want to speculate, but like there's a trial coming up involving Candace Owens. She's being sued by the Macrons, the first family of France. Like, Brandy, what is that trial going to entail, and like what happens on the other side of that?
I think it's in the spring. I think it's happening this spring, or at least there's a hearing coming up this spring. But yeah, I mean, the president of France is suing her for this like other very long investigation she did into Brigitte Macron, this transvestigation, as they're known, you know, sort of seemingly outing her as a trans woman, saying that she was born a man, and also her brother. It gets a little confusing.
Yeah. I can't follow either because they're saying that her brother is her, but her brother also still exists, and they've been pictured next to each other. Yeah,
they've provided proof in the French courts too. So people have already, you know, been found guilty in the French courts for defamation. And so like, yeah, bring the game to America. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, I have seen no evidence that Brigitte Macron is a trans woman. And so it just seems so stupid to me. And all the things that Candace says are so stupid that I can only, I mean, she's going to have to say basically like, she's going to have to argue that that she believes this stuff. And if you believe it, right, then it's not defamation, but it's like known or should have known. I don't know. But I will say I have heard from sources who would know that Turning Point USA is considering suing her. They've already sent her a cease and desist that she's read on the show. And I just hear that, like, you know, maybe France is leading the way for America, and that Candace will be sued by TPUSA because the things that she's saying are really awful.
There's a part of me that also thinks, like, if they do sue her, then that's going to eventually lead to discovery, and I'm sure that in discovery there'll be some embarrassing things that are surfaced about TPUSA, and like I don't know if it's just like totally scorched earth or what, but it feels like this is just not going to end. Nobody is going to come out of this without having damage dealt to them. Now, whether the damage is survivable damage or whether it's like the kind of damage that like eliminates you from the game, that's to be determined. I do want to read the entire Ben Shapiro quote because it's funny. As a person, this is a quote about Candace Owens. As a person who doesn't often use the word satanic, what Candace is doing right now is absolutely satanic to Erica Kirk. And then he went on further on another episode calling Owens a true vampire and suggesting that Erica Kirk sue the living hell out of Candace Owens. So not mincing words about his former employee.
I mean, she's literally getting life by feasting on the blood of her dead friend, right? The dead body of her friend. So a vampire sounds right
Vampiric to me. I mean, sometimes Ben Shapiro gets it right. I got to say, you know, I cannot explain why, but I'm going to keep listening to Candace Owens. Like I've noticed, like she's so wrong about so many things in a way that's frustrating to me because you find her like kind of she like zigs and zags in and out of topics that are like passingly familiar to a lot of people. But if she ever happens on a topic that I specifically know a lot about, I notice that she almost always talks about it wrong. Like she'll have like she'll know some like small bit of information about it, but her interpretation will be like, whoa. That is not how anybody would talk about this who knew a lot about it. So I feel like people like Candace Owens, and even like, I mean, Charlie Kirk would do this too, which is like kind of speed run through a bunch of like difficult to verify pieces of information. Mm-hmm. And then by the time they're done with like a crazy sentence, you're kind of too dizzy to argue because it's like, what? Okay, so first let me start with what you said about this. Next, I want to start with what you said, you know, and it becomes this kind of like, it's
the
hard
Gish
to argue.
Gallop.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's really hard to argue. It's the Gish Gallop. Exactly. Okay. That wraps up the time we have to talk about Candace Owens today, but I'm sure we're going to be talking about her again in the future. And Brandy, when we do, please come back.
I will always, every time I write about Candace, I'll ping you.
Please do, because I will share the ever-loving shit out of those pieces. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more Hysteria. This episode of Hysteria is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. Unlike many store-bought options, Wild Grain uses simple ingredients you can pronounce and a slow fermentation process that can be easier on your belly and richer in nutrients and antioxidants. Plus, all items conveniently bake in 25 minutes or less with no thawing required. It's great for me. I'm very impatient. When I want warm bread, I want it in 25 minutes or less, freezer to mouth. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable. In addition to their variety box, they have a gluten-free box, a vegan box, and a new protein box. I always order a few of their sourdough loaves every time I can taste the quality from the 20-hour slow fermentation process, and it pairs perfectly with their slow-churned French butter, which is so good. I did not realize that butter can be that good. Plus, it bakes in 25 minutes or less. Imagine having fresh bakery quality bread, pastries, and pasta at home without any trips to the store. And don't just take my word for it. They have over 40,000 five-star reviews and have been voted the best food subscription box by USA Today for 3 years in a row. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/hysteria to start your subscription today. That's $30 off your first box and 3 croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/hysteria, or you can use promo code Hysteria at checkout. And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast for people who are currently workshopping a word for when celebrities who have fallen off the A-list go conservative in order to find new fame. Like, is it Kevin Sorboing? Is it James Woodsing?
Oh, boy. Who's that lady from Clueless? That's a long
Stacey
ago
Dashing?
one. But that felt like a true decision.
Yeah. It has to be somebody where you're like, why are you? So the reason I'm talking about this is because Katherine Heigl made her first red carpet appearance in years at a Mar-a-Lago event. So it's sort of like, yeah, people who have made the calculation that's like, oh, this is a way for me to keep getting attention because there's so few celebrities that are on the side. Maybe I feel like James Woods is like he's a very talented actor, so I want to like put that one aside.
He's in one of my favorite movies,
What?
Straight Talk.
Oh,
Straight Talk with Dolly.
I haven't seen.
So good.
I will have to. I mean, but he's talented. So
Yeah, sure.
maybe Kevin Sorboing or Dean Caning.
Oh, Dean Caning's good.
Yeah, he's Dean Caning. That's what we're going to do. Listeners, if you want to have a nomination in the pool, we haven't finalized Dean Caning. Hysteria at crooked.com is the way to get in touch with us. Give us your nominees for a word that describes an actor going conservative in order to hang on to their fame and get in front of a new audience when they have fallen off the A-list. All right. Before we get to Sani-Petty, some announcements for the class. We're less than 9 months away from the midterms. Oh, my God. Ugh. We have a lot of work you could do right now and always. November will decide control of Congress and if Trump maintains his Republican trifecta. And our friends at Vote Save America are here to help. They'll give you tips on how, when, and where to donate to make sure your money goes the furthest, how to confidentially talk to the people in your life about midterms and key issues, and opportunities to take action with your community in real life. Go to votesaveamerica.com and sign up to be part of the work this year. Then send the sign-up link to 5 friends. Paid for by Vote Save America. Learn more at votesaveamerica.com. This ad has not been authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Okay, now let's get to Sani-Petty. I'm going to go first because you're the guest, Brandy. I saved the best for last. I want to say my Sani kind of ties back into our last block. It's Candace Owens related. My Sani lately has been coming up against things that my 4-year-old doesn't know about and probably shouldn't know everything about, and trying to explain it to her in a way that she can understand that doesn't scare her.
Okay.
So, like, sometimes those things are pretty dark where I'm like, oh, yeah, Donald Trump has a secret police and they're mean. Like, sometimes it's pretty dark. But explaining Candace Owens to her was quite a fun adventure. So she got in the car, Candace Owens starts playing, and she goes, oh, who's this, Mommy? And I was like, who is this? Well, it's a lady. She has a similar job to your mommy's job. She talks into a microphone about what's going on. But this lady tells wild stories. And she goes,
That's good.
She goes, is she crazy? And I go, some people think she is. I think she sometimes is funny and sometimes is crazy, but her stories are always very wild. And she goes, okay. So then fast forward to yesterday, we get in my car and I turn on the car and the Chani Nicholas podcast is playing. Chani Nicholas is an astrologer who I listen to her podcast every week. She also comes on Hysteria sometimes. I really like listening to her pod. And she goes, Mom, is this the lady with the wild stories again? And I was like, different lady. Interesting stories, but she's nicer. And she's like, okay. So that's been my sanity corner this week has been explaining Candace Owens and Chani Nicholas to my 4-year-old. They soak in everything. They hold on to everything.
I love kids so much. It's like, I know this is a very basic, dumb thing to say, but I'm one of those people now that offers to hold babies on airplanes. And I've just gotten to this moment in my life that I desperately want to see all of your children's pictures and hear every story about them. So that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's, I've got stories and they're pretty, we went to a birthday party this weekend and she picked a face paint pattern and she wanted pirate. So she was the only girl with a pirate mustache. So that was cool. I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture of that after we get done recording.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
Brandy, I understood that you wanted to be petty this week. Is that still correct?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't have anybody to talk to. And I get so mad. My petty is going to be the HHS social media stream. And only because if you take a look at it, you will see it's really this It's run by 3 20-somethings at HHS, and they sort of like hop on memes. They're the reason we have the Kid Rock RFK video. Ugh. And like, it's all like yesterday's was, it was like a fake video game that they had mocked up, and it's like cartoon Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and he gets a steak and he like defeats a donut, and it's like do and like how dare you? Like, truly, how dare you? I almost prefer, DHS's social media where you see like Nazi memes and like this like national conservative messaging, and it feels like, and the, videos of them rounding up brown people in shackles and sending them on planes and being like, F yeah, like at least tell me what you are. But like, this guy's out here killing mRNA injections, measles is spreading, just like changing the vaccine schedule for no reason. And then like pretending that he's doing something good. I get so mad every time I see it. And like he has these other memes where he's like, the John Hamm meme, like where he's in the club and he's got a glass of milk. And I'm just, every single time I come across it, it makes me furious. I think it's so messed up.
Yeah. It really trivializes him because, there's like, people are dying.
Well, there's another one that it's like, it's pictures of him, RFK, as like, the one where he's like, and then like one of him like as a teen holding a snake looking all smoldery, and it's like, this is who's ending public health emergencies, this is the guy who's flipping the food pyramid. And it's just such a weird self-aggrandizement of the HHS secretary, which we've never seen before. It's very Trumpian and it's very gross amidst all the public health emergencies we're seeing.
Yeah, he is gross. God. I'm glad. Well, that is a really neat little bow to tie up this episode, where we started with talking about the smell of RFK, and now we're ending talking about how much he stinks. Brandy Zadrozny, thank you so much for joining me as a guest host. Alyssa took another week off, guys. She'll be back soon. Thank you for all your well wishes. And there will be more Hysteria for you next week.